When I first visited Dallas several years ago, I knew to expect a lot of boots, barbecue, and outsized pickup trucks. I suspected there to be glitz and money and perhaps some long-horned cattle. Perhaps, I thought, there would be number of generously proportioned cowboy hats filling the streets, or at least a lot of locals sporting Dallas Cowboys merchandise. But what I found was all and nothing of these things. Indeed, like a lot of people and places with an larger-than-life reputation, Dallas, Texas is its own best-kept secret with more than a few gems held close to the proverbial cowhide vest. One thing is true, Dallas is big. Since its founding in 1841, Dallas has spilled across the Texas Blackland Prairie to merge with Fort Worth, Plano, Arlington, Garland, Denton, McKinney and other communities. The Metroplex, as it's called, is the sprawling seat of one of the largest metropolitan areas in the U.S., and there's a lot of ground to cover even if you're sticking to just Dallas proper. But if you love good food, live music, rich history and culture, and passionate locals who have a lot of feelings about the place they call home, it's well worth digging into Dallas' countless corners and getting lost in the Lone Star State. And you can get started in just a weekend, with the right itinerary. Editor's note. During COVID-19 there are restrictions on travel. Check the latest guidance before departure, and always follow local health advice. Day 1 Art and History in downtown Dallas. First of all, consider renting a car. Dallas is spread out, and loves its highways. That said, the DART light rail system covers quite a bit of ground that ride shares can fill in. Which route you take depends on where you're staying and how much you hope to take advantage of Dallas' many bars. Second up, grab breakfast at CBD Provisions. You need the green chili pork migas to fuel up for a big day. Then, a 3-hour private Dallas walking tour will help you start at the beginning with the John Neely Bryan Cabin, the first house ever built in Dallas, or at least a replica built in the 1930s. From there you can knock Dealey Plaza and the Kennedy Memorial off your list before getting an introduction to the Dallas West End Historic District, full of shops and restaurants, as well as the Dallas Arts District. After a snack and drink with your guide at the end of your tour, you can circle back around to the Dallas Museum of Art, the Nasher Sculpture Center, and the Crow Collection of Asian Art. At the former, you'll find first-class art from around the world and visiting exhibitions on themes ranging from migration in art to films on the Black experience in the United States. Don't miss the de Kooning at the Nasher, or the compact, compelling Crow Collection. Or if you'd rather get a dose of history, the Dallas Holocaust Museum is well worth visiting, as is the 6th-floor museum you passed on your walking tour to learn more about the assassination of John F. Kennedy and see the room where Lee Harvey Oswald himself watched the presidential limo approach. Margaritas and rock and roll next. Head to Katy Trail Ice House for Bite to Eat. It's a local's favorite for the sprawling patio that sits under fans, misters, and the shade of a leafy green canopy of trees. Order a towering burger or some nachos and definitely don't deny yourself one of the generous frozen margaritas while you put up your feet. The people watching here is excellent, and you'll likely see runners coming off the Katy Trail for which the restaurant is named, a popular rail-to-trail conversion that runs for 3.5 miles from Glencoe Park, by Riverchon Park, all the way to the stadium that's home to the Dallas Mavericks basketball team down in the historic West End. Once you're feeling refreshed, head back downtown and turn east into Deep Ellum, the hip, rock and roll district where you'll find all sorts of entertainment for the evening. This is the thumping, twanging heart of Dallas' live music scene, and has been since singers like Blind Lemon Jefferson were busking on Elm Street. You'll find iconic venues like the Bomb Factory and Trees that have booked the latest local bands and imports from Denton to the north, where the world-acclaimed University of North Texas College of Music has produced such alums as Don Henley of the Eagles, Norah Jones, Meatloaf, and Roy Orbison. If you're up for another drink, Braindead Brewing is not to be missed. There's endless street art and murals in Deep Ellum on which to feast your eyes, but if you get hungry again for a feast of a different sort, Serious Pizza is the locals' favorite for when the late-night drunchies hit. Day 2. The Bishop Arts District and Hispanic Oak Cliff ease into the day with a cup of coffee at Oddfellows in Bishop Arts District, the next neighborhood you need to get to know in Dallas. There are tons of cute little shops to check out as you stroll, including spots for antiques and the lovely Wild Detectives indie bookstore. If you've got kiddos, Dallas Zoo is definitely worth visiting and in this part of town. Grab brunch when your hunger strikes at 10 Bells Tavern, a dark, divey, vibey spot with a bit of a cult following. The low-brow look of the place doesn't convey what excellent hands you're in. Chef Gerardo Lopez's jalapeno mac and cheese is perfection and the mixed drinks are tops. Be sure to say hello to the friendly cats who congregate outside, too. After slamming some eggs, Benny head to Jefferson Boulevard, the historic heart of Dallas Hispanic community. There are some classic buildings here that reveal the district's nearly century-old history, like the Texas Theater, but the real charms are the long strips of brick storefronts full of vintage Tejanos albums, quinceañera dresses, and winsome piñatas. A stroll through Kessler Park or Winnetka Heights Historic District is a pleasant way to check out Dallas historic homes and get a feel for Oak Cliff's long, varied history, which has run the gamut from an upscale Victorian neighborhood to a mid-century den of the Ku Klux Klan, to today's blue-collar and Hispanic community with an artsy side. Next, pay a visit to the Oak Cliff Cultural Center to learn more about the neighborhood that gave the world T-Bone Walker, Dennis Rodman, Erykah Badu, and Stevie Ray Vaughan. They offer gallery space to local artists and exhibitions from international creators on everything from lucha libre masks to travel. Mercado 369 is a must-shop destination for Latino art, while the Kessler Theater is a beloved music venue, bar, and gathering spot. Tex-Mex and after-hours Dallas. Hopefully you worked up an appetite, because you can't leave Oak Cliff without trying some serious Tex-Mex. El Ranchito is an unassuming classic beloved by locals where you can get classic North Mexican dishes and get a feel for Dallas off the tourist beat. Meanwhile, La Palapa del Sabor is the next incarnation of the popular, now defunct, restaurant Mesa run by chef owners Olga and Raul Reyes, which garnered Mesa a visit from Beyoncé and Jay-Z in 2013. Don't worry about the FOMO. The new concept still features the famous mole and cochinita pibil that made Dallas swoon for Mesa back in the day. After a fairly low-key day, it's time for nightlife. Clubbers will want to take a disco nap and get gussied up for a night of EDM at Lizard Lounge, a dance venue that's been hopping since 1991. Or stay on the south side and take in the skyline from the Gallery Rooftop Lounge, a luxe rooftop spot atop the Canvas Hotel with its own infinity pool and endless views to match. The Old Monk is convenient to Uptown, Deep Ellum, and East Dallas, with an excellent range of beers on the popular Henderson Avenue strip of bars and restaurants. Whatever you do, know that local chain Buzz Brews is open 24 hours and has whatever you need to finish the night off right, from breakfast food to beer. Alternatively, Fuzz for Lovers is open late, and is a great chance to try one of the new crop of Asian American restaurants to open in Dallas in recent years. Day 3. Hit up Lower Greenville. Lower Greenville is a beloved part of Dallas for good reason. It's full of shops, restaurants, and a little something for everyone. Start the day right at the Libertine or HG Supply Company. Both pack great weekend brunches, Libertine with hefty burgers and hollandaise, HG with treats like breakfast on a bun, carrot hummus, and Juvio's Rancheros. Libertine has the longer beer list for brunch bevies, but HG Supply Company has one of the best rooftops in Dallas, and sometimes a yoga class to boot. Next up, head to the nearby Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Gardens, where millions of plants and several Chihuly sculptures add up to one of the best botanical gardens in the South, according to Southern Living magazine. Follow up the Arboretum with a trip to the African American Museum of Dallas, a comprehensive collection that traces the history of Black Americans from their roots in Africa through slavery, Jim Crow, and on to the present. The museum also boasts one of the largest collections of African American folk art in the country, and regularly partners with organizations like Remembering Black Dallas to put on lectures and other educational events. After the museum, head north back to Lower Greenville, and grab lunch at the Truck Yard, a magnet for locals where some of the city's best food trucks ring a large open beer garden that sometimes hosts live music. Try bites from several vendors and local brews like Oak Cliff Black Lightning or By the Horns Hellas Lager. There are also frozen drinks and draft cocktails, such as the Twisted Truck Yard Marg. From here, walk off your lunch and start checking out the neighborhood. Good Records is perfect for crate diggers hoping to score some vinyl, while shops like Bull Zerk or Jack Retro have local-made goods, vintage clothing, and more. The Granada Theatre has been alive and kicking since 1946, and is now one of the city's best live music venues, hosting touring acts like the Avett Brothers, ZZ Top, Graham Nash, Adele, and TV on the radio. Exploring Trinity Groves and the Tin District after taking a spin through Lower Greenville, it's time to see one more Dallas hotspot. Trinity Groves is a 15-acre foodie hotspot which sits at the base of the glowing spirals of the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge. It's operated as a restaurant incubator for years, helping to catapult some young restaurateurs into successful careers. It's also home to a strip of art galleries and shops that afford incredible views of the Dallas skyline, including the famous Bank of America Plaza outlined in green lights. Locals call it the Jolly Green Giant, and the glittery lollipop that is Reunion Tower. You can also stroll the nearby, colorful Tin District, once part of the city's oldest immigrant neighborhood and now an enclave of artists' studios, murals, and the Sweet Pass Sculpture Park. Or for more views of downtown, and a close-up of the Trinity River and Dallas flood plain, the Trinity Skyline Trail stretches 4 miles and will take you to the Trinity Overlook, just a 10-minute walk from Trinity Groves. Have a beer at Steam Theory Brewing Company while you try to decide between one of the many dinner options in Trinity Groves. Beto and Son is a popular place for Mexican with plenty of excitement for your last night. The tableside guacamole is a show, as are the famous liquid nitrogen frozen margaritas. Beto also offers exciting twists on classics like chicharrones with chili de árbol glaze or the Texas Wagyu fajitas. Bab Brothers is pure Texas with barbecue and live blues music. Don't miss out on the borracho beans or bourbon corn, either. Save room for a treat from Cake Bar Dallas, too. Where to stay? There are a lot of great options for lodging in Dallas depending on your budget and travel priorities. The Jewel is right downtown and boasts a cantilevered rooftop pool and art collection worth millions behind its jewel box Art Deco facade. Feel like one of the soapy stars of Dallas in the over-the-top, eclectic Hotel Zaza, or at the Rosewood Mansion on Turtle Creek, a luxe, romantic classic. Save your money for eats and drinks and stay at the handsome, but affordable, Deep Ellum Hostel or the Belmont Hotel, a retro-cool restored motor lodge in Oak Cliff. What to pack? It's hot in Dallas much of the year, though boots and chunky cardies do come in handy during the winter months. Dallas is a pretty casual town where you can get away with anything from cute athleisure, sundresses, and jumpsuits or rompers during the day for ladies, and classic t-shirts and button-downs for the guys. At night though, feel free to go glam. You don't need to tease your hair or buy a pair of cowboy boots unless you want to, but this is the perfect occasion to bust out your favorite pair of high heels or platform wedges and some statement jewelry, if that's your style. Our editors independently select the best products to help you have amazing travel experiences. If you purchase through links on our site, Lonely Planet may earn a commission from the retailer.